All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to One Nation of Sports Locker Magazine Extra. I am your host, Kirk DeMars, and it is Monday, July 15th, and it is hot outside. Boy, is it hot outside. The humidity, the heat, all of that stuff. I tried cutting down some weeds last night that were way over my head out in the front woods of our yard, and I couldn't do it too long. It was just too hot. But we are going to talk to somebody that none of that matters because she is an adventurer. She's out in all sorts of different weather, and we get to have fun talking to a longtime writer for Sports Locker magazine. We're catching up with her tonight, Laura Bax. So let's go ahead and bring her onto the program right now. Hey, Laura, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me tonight, Kirk.
Yeah, it's good to be able to catch you in between adventures. Some work,
Um,
some adventure, right?
yep,
Yeah.
exactly. I try to keep a good balance.
Yeah, well, good. Hey, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's been going on, what's been keeping you busy? Family's a big part of your life, I know, but just go ahead and share a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I have a new grandbaby, so that's big stuff.
Whoa, that's
I
awesome.
know. Yeah, so that's our second, little Josie. She's a little over 2 months now and just cute as can be. I don't get to see her as often as I'd like to, but we have a big family trip to the beach this summer coming up. And
Okay.
so, yeah, super excited. And her little brother, Bowen. So we have Bo and Joe. They're
All right.
having a
There you
good time
go.
together and enjoying summer. So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Lots of travel, as you
Hmm.
mentioned. I was just in Denver last week, and the husband and I fly out to Florida tomorrow for just a little bit of a vacay before work continues. So that's been good. We hit the North Fork Lake in Arkansas last weekend for since we had the long weekend, and we did a little bit of trout fishing. And I have to say that my husband failed to catch a single trout, which was very satisfying to me because he always catches the biggest. And
Okay.
so, yeah, so he failed. So that was kind of nice for me. I can't say I did that great, but at least I didn't get skunked like he
Yeah.
did. So,
Well,
yeah, so travel, work, trying to fit a little bit of outdoor time amongst all that's what we've been doing.
yeah. Well, I'm sorry, Jason. We just had. I mean, it's brought on live. Everybody knows now. So I had no idea that she was going to say that.
Poor guy.
Yeah. Well, I am like you said. He's probably more than enough lived up to catching the biggest fish a lot of times. So,
Yeah.
but you guys are pretty competitive too. I know that, right?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah. All right. So your grandson, you said, how old is he?
So he's three, just
Okay.
turned three right about the time Josie was born. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, my oldest son and they have a pretty busy household right now, taking care of
Yeah.
a 3-year-old and potty training and the new baby on the in the house. But they're all
Yeah.
adjusting really well, and summer's a great time to be out and about, and they're having a lot of fun too.
Well, that's awesome. I know that I shared with you before we came on that we went out to Colorado and was there for my youngest grandson, his birthday. He turned 3 as well, so that was a
Nice,
lot of
fun
fun.
age.
And oh yeah, yep. And it's all about him. It's all about him.
Yeah, that's true. They kind of, this tiny little toddler running around rules your life, right?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, why don't you go ahead and remind our viewers what you do for a living and how rewarding is your career?
Okay. Well, I've been working for the federal judiciary now for, oh my gosh, 29 years. So I'm aging myself there, besides the fact that I have two grandkids. But yeah, I've worked for the U.S. District Court now 29 years. I used to work in the Jefferson City office most of my career and then transferred to the Kansas City office. Still have a kiddo in Jeff City, have one in Springfield. So I make the rounds all the time when I'm in Kansas City, when I'm making my route to Kansas City. But yeah, I love it. The job's been so fulfilling. It's different every single day. I'm the chief deputy of operations there. And I also do a lot of space and facilities. We have a huge project going on right now in our building in Kansas City, but thankfully I still get to Jeff City and Springfield and those courthouses as well. But it's really been great. I meet so many great people and people from all different walks of life. I get to do naturalization ceremonies, which is just an amazing experience. We actually have one coming up at the KC Current Stadium here in a
Okay.
couple weeks. So yeah, so the sports ties get in there as
Yeah.
well, which even with work, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's good. You like to do a lot of conservation. Why don't you tell us about that and why it's important to you?
Well, we have about 120 acres down here in southeast Missouri, and just the farmland. And when I say farm, everybody always say we call it the farm. I'll have all my life, and it's not like we're raising crops. Our biggest thing is actually conservation. We've always tried to plant new trees every single year and have lots of habitat for the wildlife. Unfortunately, the tornado that went through on our property just a couple months, well, it's only about a month ago now, really wiped out a lot of our huge trees. So we'll definitely be participating in conservation's tree sale here soon. But we actually have a logger in removing a lot of our big trees because it was just more than we could handle and they're way too big. But just protecting your natural resources, it was how I was raised. It's what my parents, really instilled in us kids, and I've tried to do the same with my own. So, and it just keeps giving food, shelter. It provides so much to us. So any way that we can give back as well
Yeah.
is
Well,
important to us.
I mean, you've written about a lot of things, and we'll touch on some of that about some of your previous articles, like mushrooms and things like that.
Hmm.
So, but it's we call our place where we live, we call it the farm too, but
Uh-huh.
absolutely nothing other than just trying to keep ahead of the mowing. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, we were chatting about that just a few minutes ago. Between
Yeah,
the mowing and the bush hogging, you
yeah,
finish and then it's time to start again. Now
yeah.
I can't take credit for any of that though. That's what my dad and my husband spend their time doing.
Absolutely. It
But
takes up, I mean, like you said, with a farm, I mean, there's a lot to that. Just to try to take the land back is
mhm.
what we call it over here. So,
Yeah, and let me tell you, the ticks and the chiggers have been horrific, at least
ah,
in our neck of the woods this
yeah,
year. How about you?
yep, absolutely. And last night, I got hit pretty good by several mosquitoes. So, yep, that was happening.
Ugh, fun times.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
we think so. I don't know. Um, Talk about some of the things, you mentioned your family. Talk about your parents and some of the different things that you've learned from them and how they impacted you to be so adventurous and just trying new things.
Okay, sure thing. Well, growing up, I mean, camping is just what we did. I don't know if it was just because it was the affordable thing to do, but we always hit the state parks throughout Missouri and Arkansas. We spent a lot of time, putting out trout lines and camping and swimming, mud slides on the bank. I mean, we've always done that types of thing. My dad, he was an entomologist, so insects have always been his passion, and he can tell you anything you want to know about any kind of insect out there, and trees and nature in general. So we've always explored and participated with Missouri Conservation when they would have wildflower hikes and those types of things. And we've always just done things together as a family outdoors. And that's what I've tried to do with my kids and my husband and I and my girlfriends. We have hiking groups that we go out on, and so those types of things were things they instilled in me that I've tried to share with others.
Hmm.
It's there's just so many different things happening outdoors, and it's great to
Yeah.
be a part in it and share with other people.
Yeah. And speaking of sharing with other people, I mean, you do that in your article that you write for Sports Locker magazine, and this
Mm-hmm.
is hot off the press. Just picked it up
Woohoo!
today. That's your article
Awesome.
that you've got, and it
Great.
talks
Okay.
about you went to the Ozark Mountain Challenge. We'll talk about that in the next segment,
Okay.
but before that, let's talk a little bit about some of the other articles you've written about, and just a few highlights on some of those things.
Oh, absolutely. I know when I first interviewed with you guys to be a writer, the topic was supposed to be hunting and fishing, and thankfully, you guys have given me the liberty to pretty
Oh
much write
yeah,
about anything I
yeah.
want, which is just amazing. So I've written about all different types of things in the outdoors. I love hunting. I love fishing. So all the different types of,
Mm,
whether it's bow hunting or rifle and turkey season and rabbit and squirrel. I think I've covered all those topics about now, but even gardening, we always have a garden here,
Mhm.
and canning. I've written about my mom and canning and preserving and things like that, and hiking trips that I've taken with friends. And you mentioned mushrooms. I guess we do farm a bit here. We
Yeah,
raise shiitake mushrooms, so I wrote an article on that. So it's kind of funny because I'll have an article ready, and then, or getting close to ready, or know what I'm going to, an outline, and know what I'm going to do, and then I'll go do something, and it's like, oh my gosh, I need to tell people about this. And so then that one takes over, and I throw the other one to the side for when I'm not having such inspiration. So
yeah.
I really appreciate the liberty you guys give
Oh,
me in a sports magazine. I
oh, you
think
do a
it's
great
it's
job.
a fun little tie-in.
Well, we've enjoyed it,
Thanks.
and on top of that, you've also at different times you've put in recipes from the family on
Yeah.
different things, and so that's always been kind of neat to be when we can get that fit in there. As we were looking at the article just a second ago, we got a few pictures. We like to include some of that so people can see what you're doing out there, and when we'll talk about this article. I mean, I want to get to this, but. Uh, Man, that sounded like that was rough and very challenging, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, so what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to go ahead and take our quick sponsor break. We'll be back, but right before we come back, I am going to attempt to play a little tiny clip of what we're going to be talking about in the next segment. So, thank
Awesome.
you. Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
Laura. We'll be right back here in just a few moments.
Okay.
CNS Business Services has been connecting employees with employers since 1977. Recently, CNS rebranded to CNS Employment Solutions to more clearly define their mission of serving the needs of applicants, employees, and businesses while remaining current and evolving with the changes in the workforce. One important thing has not changed. CNS Employment Solutions partners with a wide variety of employers, placing employees in jobs that match their skills and needs.
Say yes to CNS.
All right, CNS Employment Solutions. We have absolutely appreciated everything that they do with Sports Locker Magazine, as well as One Nation, the Sports Locker Magazine Extra, as well as making sure that people have jobs and employers are finding the people to fill those jobs. So they do a great job with that. And one other thing they do is they are one of the title sponsors for the upcoming Redemption Inside the Walls concert. I wanted to get my fingers out of the way so I could show you that. That's on Saturday, September 21st. Matt Maher is coming to Jefferson City for this is year number 6. We have had professional artists come in, and we're looking forward to that. So we appreciate CNS Employment Solutions and all they do for the community hiring as well as community service. One other sponsor that we have is Big Whiskeys, and they are the sponsor of our Coach of the Issue. And we've got Danielle Lukenhoff from Blair Oaks, and they sponsor our coaches. How important are the coaches to have right here in mid-Missouri? The people that are taking their time, pouring into the student athletes, being mentors, teaching them, correcting them when needed, but challenging them to be the best that they can be and encouraging them to step higher than what they would possibly try to do on their own. So we want to thank both of those sponsors. Now, I promised a little clip, so I'm going to go ahead and attempt to play it. There's no sound, but I want you to take a look at this here real quick. All right, Laura, that showed some serious people out there on a trail. So let's go ahead and get into that Ozark Mountain Challenge. Why don't you talk about that and um, tell us about what went on?
Absolutely. And I have to give a shout out, that person right there in the front of the video. That's my youngest son, Cole. And he and my friend Ashley braved that hike with me. And so I shout out to them for such a huge accomplishment, and being suckers to go along with me, I guess I should say, because that was a tough challenge. So it was put on by the Poplar Bluff Chamber of Commerce. And actually, um, one of our gym members is the one who told me about it, and I think she's in her 60s, and she trained and was like ready to go. But it was held at the Sam A. Baker State Park, and they capped it at 200 participants. And so everybody got registered. It sold out super, super fast. And they ended up having, I think, people from 8 different states and 78 different cities that participated in the hike. So we all gathered on a Saturday over at the park at Sam A. Baker, which is a beautiful park. If you have not been, you should definitely go. It's north of Poplar Bluff, probably about 45 minutes north of Poplar Bluff.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started at 7 a.m. and what we had to do was make 9 mountain ascents within 12 hours. And so no descents. We would hike up the mountain, and then you saw that Humvee in in that video.
Is that what would bring you down?
Yep.
Yeah.
They had Humvees and pickup trucks and different things like that. And as you got to the top of the mountain, and I think one of the pictures that you used in the article shows it, you would get to the top of the mountain, and there was a great group of people that was constantly cheering you on, ringing a cowbell, really encouraging you. And as well as the people along the way that you got to meet, which was a great experience as well. But you got up to the top, and they had a huge board where everybody's names were, and they had branding irons for the symbol of the hike, and you would brand the board. There you go. There I am branding the board. So you can see I had a long way to go. That was my first brand on there when I got to the top. And they had all kinds of food and rehydrating type things and first aid, etc. And then you'd get your ride back to the bottom, and you'd turn around and you did it all over again. So
your son, Cole, I mean, he's made a comment here. It was tough! ! Point.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever do it again, and I'm not sure if he or Ashley will either. We'll see.
I think Cole's typically in, really good shape as well. Has done MMA fighting and all those types of things, right?
Yeah, he definitely was probably the most in shape of the 3 of us. And he said it was hard too, but I will say I think he finished 5 ascents ahead of me.
Okay.
He just trucked it. He was just up, down, up, down. He hung around with his old mom a couple times.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he was so focused.
Yeah, you can tell him, hey, I'm a grandma, okay?
That's right.
That's right.
I was just proud I finished.
Yeah.
That was great. So yeah, you would hike up to the top, and some of the ascents were harder than the others. Like I think I mentioned in the article that the third one, I don't know, it was just so tough for me because I knew I had to do this 6 more times.
Yeah.
And I was determined to finish. And then by then you're kind of calculating how long an ascent takes you and how much time you have left. So whether you have to speed up, slow, or you can stand to slow down. And there were a few times, one time I got down to the bottom, and my husband, Jason, was down there with the dog, and that kind of gives you a little bit more motivation. Okay, I can do this one. And I had a friend in from Australia that week, and she and my folks came in, so they were waiting at the bottom one time to cheer us on. So things like that really, really helped. And just the chamber as a whole, it was amazing, the support. They literally cheered every single person for every single ascent. It was amazing, the work that they put into planning it, and just the support that they gave everybody. And the people that were heading down on the Humvees would hoop and holler for those of you going up, and sometimes you didn't really like them because they were going down and you were going up. But the encouragement was nice. I'll give them that. And once you got to your 8th ascent, then you switched your white like jersey thing or bib, I guess, for a green one.
Okay.
And so then you had to go back down one more time. So kind of about the 7th ascent, when you started seeing people like Cole Bax with his green one passing you, that was a little frustrating.
Sure.
Oh man, I still got a few more of these, but the feeling when you got your green one, okay, I can do this. I actually have one more in me.
Yeah.
And so if you did all 9 ascents, you were reaching elevation as Mount Olympus. And so that was kind of exciting, and just to know you could do something like that. And then when you made your 9th one, you got a green hat. So we did all this for a white bib, a green bib, and a green hat. I'm not
Yes.
sure how sane that was, but
Well, but at least you can say you did it, right?
right,
Yeah.
exactly,
Let's go ahead and pull
exactly.
that.
So
Let's pull that photo up there.
there you go. There's the three of us once we got home that night. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
And
12 hours of doing anything, that's a long time.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And it, like, I know Cole and I talked about it afterwards. It was the same scenery every
Yeah.
single time,
Yeah.
and so sometimes that was a little tough as well. But gosh, I got to meet so many people, and there were so many people that were in better shape than me, in worse shape than me, people with disabilities, different
Hmm.
nationalities. I mean, it was amazing because you kind of got to know people as you were going
Yeah.
up and down, and you would start talking to them. And so many people had a reason why they were there besides, oh, there's a challenge. That's what Laura's going to go do and give it a try. I mean, some people really had some strong reasons to be there. There were breast cancer
Mm.
survivors, it was amazing. And so that was really, really cool to be able to meet people and hear their story and hear their
Hmm.
why for what they were doing. So that was an amazing opportunity. And a
Yeah. So,
beautiful part of Missouri was great to see too.
yeah. So, did you find opportunities to be encouraging to other people during those ascents?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every time, sometimes you'd be moving a little faster than somebody else and you'd pass by them, or I was amazed, even people, heard other people helping folks if they were kind of on the side and they were struggling. They would stop and say, "Are you okay? Do you need water? I have some rehydrate, Gatorade chews. Do you need anything like that?" Everybody really was supporting everybody. And I think the term I heard over and over was this race had a mountain vibe. So kind of like we talk about Colorado a lot when you and
Yeah.
I chat, and that mountain vibe that's out there. I think that was really there that day. Everybody was so encouraging,
Hmm.
so that was amazing. It kind of kept you going when you really needed it, that extra
Sure.
push.
Except for those people coming by on the Humvees, and
Yeah.
is there a rock nearby?
I know. Oh,
That's no,
yeah.
that's good. You talk also about the importance and the fun part of it, doing this with family and friends, like you had Cole out there and your friend. Why don't you
Mhm.
just talk about why that makes those times so special?
Well, I think for me, the fact that I don't live in the same city as either one of my boys, when we can take an opportunity to get together for some kind of adventure, or whether it's just trout fishing at the river, or, any time that I can spend with them. And I know Jason feels the same way, my folks do too. Anytime we can spend with the kids and the grandkids, and the exact same thing. It's why you make your trips out to Colorado. Life's so busy, and when we can take a little bit of time to enjoy something together, I mean, it just makes it so much better.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the biggest thing for me. And the fact that my kids still want to do things with me occasionally is pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's
They're
it's fun to
very
do.
motivating.
Yeah, it's good. It's fun to do those things, except when your 8-year-old grandson is running around being very careless with the fireworks in his hands. So,
Oh.
those moments you're like, all right,
Yeah,
you know, what are you doing? Watch out.
that's when you send them back to their parents.
Yep. Don't get too close to the 3-year-old, nor don't get close to his hair.
Yeah,
All that stuff. So,
yeah. We never stop worrying, do we?
no, my goodness, no. I feel like I'm probably the worst at it too, and I don't know why. Anytime a kid's around an end table or a coffee table, or careful, I'm always the one doing that stuff. So I don't. I'd probably be
Yeah.
horrible taking them out on. I've seen pictures of Katie and Jay taking the kids out on mountain trails up in Colorado, and I mean
Mm-hmm.
there's steep drop offs, and we were at the Black
Mm-hmm.
Canyon, and they're all standing up on the edge, and I'm just like, I can't do this. I can't do it.
Yeah,
But
my kids can tell you a little bit about that. When they were 8 and 10, we had them at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and that was a doozy.
oh yeah, I bet there's some serious drop offs there.
Yep, yep.
What are some things that you've learned now in conservation that you wished you would have known earlier?
Well, I think, and I kind of touched on this a little bit ago, I guess just now I have so much more of appreciation about how important it is to keep the land. I mean, they don't make any more of it. And so the habitat that it provides and how everything works together, the animals, the insects, the trees, the plants, I think that's the biggest thing. I probably wish I would have listened to a little bit more of that when my folks talked about it. I don't think I appreciated it as much as a kid as I do now. And I sure wish I'd retained a lot more of that information they told me when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
think, yeah.
one good thing your parents can do is they can go ahead and make a quick little clip of this with you what you just said, and they can
Yeah.
just have it to play over and over again, so they can,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
What are some? Okay, so a lot of people have a bucket list. I mean, are there some other
Mm.
things that you have that you know you want to try and do?
Oh gosh, I have quite a few. Let's see. All the national parks are on my list, and I need to do a count actually because I don't know how many I have left. But my girlfriends and I have been tackling that one a little bit each year. I would love to get drawn for an elk hunt in Missouri. I've been elk hunting several times out in Colorado, but not been successful to draw an elk tag here, and so that would be absolutely amazing. I'd like to do some more big salmon fishing up north. I love to fish, done a lot of trout fishing, gone salmon fishing, but I'd like another stab at that. And marlin fishing is definitely on my list. So I'm going to have to get to Mexico and actually, or if somebody has a recommendation of somewhere else, I'd love to do that. But lots of things, but obviously outdoor stuff, that's my number one. So those are
Yeah,
kind of a few of them. Yeah.
yeah, that'd be fun. That's good. Jason might want to get a bigger marlin. What are you gonna do there?
I'm sure he would. He's already
Uh,
got me beat on the whole elk part, but
yeah, I just had an interview I did a couple of weeks ago with a young lady, and for graduation, her dad purchased an elk hunt for them up in
oh,
Alaska, so they were going to be heading for that. So
lucky
she
girl.
was
That's
pretty
amazing.
excited about that. Yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Speaking of Jason, we know that you guys are at the gym a lot. Tell us a little bit how you keep fit to be able to do all these things that you like to do, even with all the
Well,
work you have.
we actually own a gym
Uh-huh.
in Doniphan, Missouri. It's called Pig Iron Gym. So, of course, we're there a lot. Jason does most of the hard stuff there in terms of the everyday, day to day,
Hmm.
keeping things going. But we work out together every day when I'm home. And so that's great. He's super encouraging. He's a big guy. So, pretty motivating, and the gym members that we have, I mean, we've really become friends with so many of them. They're amazing. Everybody supports everybody, and
Hmm.
so that's one thing. I have a couple friends that we like to do 5Ks. My friend Stephanie, we she just hit me up yesterday to sign up for a Pumpkin Hollow 5K. We did it last year. So just having friends that are kind of like-minded.
Hmm.
My friend Misty, she's really big into CrossFit at the gym in
Okay.
Westphalia, and so I mean she's super motivating, very strong friend. I have another friend that we get out and run in the mornings before work, and so it kind of
Hmm.
gets our day going, and we can kind of plan things. So just surrounding yourself with people that are
Right.
like-minded and do those types of positive things, I think that's huge. I mean, it's very
Sure.
motivating for me, especially as
Yeah.
I get older. I need every bit of motivation I can get from anybody.
Well, you're doing good. You said you were aging yourself with ages on grandkids, but I will say that I have a granddaughter that will be turning 15 pretty soon. So
Oh.
that ages me even a lot more. So, and you know what they did to me when we were out there in Colorado? They decided that they wanted to play football in the backyard. And so my son-in-law was on one team, I was on the other. He had two of the grandkids, I had two. And my job was to guard my grandson, who's 13, and he's already 6 foot 6'1".
Oh
He's
my goodness.
taller than I am. But you know what he did the entire time? He just ran straight and as fast as he could, and so I had to run with him every time out. It was like, okay, that's enough, Bowman.
Oh,
So
they'll do it to
I just had to
you.
start pulling out the older man tricks as far as just kind of bumping him before he would run and maybe kind of holding him a little bit. So, but it was fun. We had fun.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about Jason and the kids, Cole and your other son, how special is it to do life with them and do all the things that you love?
Oh my gosh, indescribable. Again, since we're not in the same city, when they're doing things like Casey sent me a picture of Owen the other day and they'd found a snapping turtle and just, watching how he interacted with his son in regard to that, so awesome. Just to see my kids getting out and enjoying the outdoors on their own or sharing it with their friends or their own kids, I think that's so special. Jason and I get out and do a lot of kayaking. We have a good friend, Ethan, that's quite the planner when it comes to camping and kayaking, and he's always setting up trips. So there's a couple of couples we like to go and do things like that with, and so it's fun to pass those things on to my kids too and say, hey, you need to check out this place with your kayaks or go fishing here. I mean, it's just indescribable. I'm happiest when I'm spending time
Yeah.
with my family for sure.
Yeah.
And I think probably most people feel that way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then the grandkids, they add a whole new dimension, don't they?
Yep. They sure do. Yeah.
Uh, do you pretty much let them do mostly what they want? Do you do that?
Well,
Kind of.
maybe a little bit. I found that things that maybe they necessarily wouldn't have wanted to do if I involve them. I mean, even just as having toddlers in the house again, it's been a minute since that's
Yeah.
happened. And so I was making sourdough cinnamon rolls not long ago, last time when Bowen was here, and just getting him involved in doing something like
Hmm.
that, it made it better for me and it made him enjoy it more and being a part of the process. And I mean, I think that's true with everything. If you
Yeah.
get him involved, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, Angela really likes to do that with all their grandkids, and they'll go out in the yard and they'll turn up rocks and they'll look, for
Yeah.
snakes and do all those kind of things, and so much so that the 8-year-old Deacon found a snake, and so he wanted to take this ringneck snake with him all the way back to Colorado,
Oh,
and so I'm like, you're going in or in an SUV all the way to Colorado with 5 kids, 4 dogs, and a snake.
mm, fun times.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So
Cole brought,
they let the snake go, but then,
oh,
he talked to his mom and dad into getting him a bearded dragon. So there you go.
oh my gosh. I've had all those things in my house, including the bearded dragon. My son Cole was a lover of snakes and turtles, and I remember him ringing the doorbell one time, and I answered the door, and he just had an armful of box turtles. It was, we always had a deal. Okay, you can keep them for a few hours, and they have to
Yeah,
go back out tonight.
they
But
got to go
yeah,
back out.
that's
Oh, good.
awesome.
So what's next on your agenda? I mean, I know you're getting ready to go to Florida tomorrow, but what are you thinking on articles? You talked about having some different ideas always pop up. What are some things you're thinking about?
Yeah. Well, my next thing on my agenda that's big, and I probably won't get to write about this one for a couple months, but my girlfriends and I mentioned national parks. So we're headed to Acadia this year. So we're going to
Okay.
be out in Maine. So I'm sure I'll be writing about our adventures out there, and we'll
Mhm.
probably go over to Nova Scotia a little bit and spend a little time there too. So who knows what kind of adventures, because that's a different type of hiking for us. We haven't done the fall. We usually do spring and
Mhm.
summer,
Mhm.
and just being around all the water and everything. So that's going to be really different, but I'm super excited. We've actually been exchanging texts this week about kind of all the different hikes we're going to do and what we have
Mhm.
planned. I don't know. I kind of have a running list because I don't want to repeat. And so I've got some things. It's crazy because it's absolutely endless what I could write about thanks to what you guys give me the freedom to do. The other day, I was out and about, and we've had lots of rain here, and I saw all the crawdad, the mud. Have you seen the mud that the crawdads do? And
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I talked, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of people that don't even know about that. And so,
Yeah.
things like that. So I'm not sure what's next. Everybody's just going to have to be surprised. I didn't
Yeah.
even know the newest article is coming out today. So that means I need to get busy so I can meet my next deadline. But I'm not sure what's next.
Yeah.
But I've got a few in reserves.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, speaking of crawdads, when we were out in Colorado, we try to do this pretty much every time. the kids like to go to, there's a little tiny stream that runs through a park there in Montrose. They live in Delta now, but the park in Montrose has a little stream, and there's crawdads everywhere in that thing.
Oh,
So, they get the string out with the hot dog on it and drop it down
yep.
there. And I am not kidding you. They will catch sometimes upwards of 100 crawdads in an hour. And,
That's
they're
fun.
competition to see who gets the one with the biggest claw and who gets the tiniest one and all that kind of stuff. So, yep, a lot of
Oh,
fun. And then they
good
count them, and then
times.
we put them all back in there. So
And catch them again another day.
catch them again another day. So, well, anything else that you
Oh.
want to talk about or share before we close out? I mean, uh, I've been really appreciative that you've taken your time, knowing you're getting ready to head on another trip.
No, no, I appreciate all the readers. I hope people enjoy the articles. I know what I write about is a little bit different than, most of the magazine, but hopefully I incorporate enough sports things for everybody and maybe introduce them to something new. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I try to encourage in all the articles is just try something different, whether it's
Right.
the pig that we raised this year or canning or sourdough bread or just getting out and sitting and listening to the woods wake up is
Mm-hmm.
just so amazing. And so just trying to encourage people to take a little bit of time outside and just
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the outdoors, enjoy your surroundings
Yeah.
and share that with your family and your friends. I think that's so important. So, I mean,
Right.
that's my main goal with participating in the magazine. So I appreciate
Oh, well, we
the
love
avenue that
having,
you give me to do that.
yeah, we love having you do that because, I mean, it's, a lot of these kids that we go and we interview, I mean, that's not the only thing that they do. They also,
Right.
a lot of them like to go hunting and fishing and being, out in the outdoors and, try a lot of different things. So, no, it is right in our wheelhouse. So we appreciate everything that you take time to write about, and it's always outstanding, and we appreciate that.
Well, thanks so much. And I have to give a shout out to Daniel Lukanoff as well, because I'm a big fan of that entire family. We used to be neighbors, and my son Casey was in her brother's wedding. That whole family is amazing. I know they've done a lot for Blair Oaks and the school system. And
Yeah.
Danielle's I've known her since she was, knee high. She's just
Yeah.
great, as is the rest of that family. So they're lucky to
Yeah.
have her at that school.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And again, that's another thing where we really try to tell the stories of Mid-Missouri coaches and just how important they are in the development and the encouragement of our student athletes.
Yeah,
So, all right, Laura, if you will hold
absolutely.
on, I will go ahead and close out the program, and then I'll visit with you
Okay.
really quickly afterwards. Thank you for joining
Sounds
us
great.
tonight.
Thanks a lot. Hi,
Absolutely.
everybody. Have a good evening.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight on One Nation of Sports Soccer Magazine Extra. We always look forward to having Laura Bax on our program. We try to do that at least once a year so we can kind of catch up on all the different things that she does. And it's really, really neat to hear about her grandkids, and especially the one that's 2 months old. That means a lot to a grandparent, just getting to spend time with the grandkids. So, looking forward to hearing more adventures from Laura in the articles to come. And I appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure you join us next week when we have another special guest on the program at 7 o'clock. This is your host, Kirk DeMars, with One Nation of Sports Locker Magazine Extra. God bless you and have a great week.